studio. I'm still holding court with my guests. We began as early as 7 a.m. We are still here. And I just want to get their quick reactions on the president's speech. Just a quick run through on who I'm having in the studio. I have Oscar Omondi to my immediate left. He's a governance expert. Right next to him is Dr. Isaac Hassan, who is a governance and political analyst. And at the far left is Sami Meli, a political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for staying put. Tashukuru sana kutoka saa moja. Tumejaribu sana. All right, quick reactions on the president's speech. Let me start with you, Oscar.
Yeah, I think the president's speech was, because, you know, nowadays when we have a theme that is connected to these celebrations, it becomes so easy to see where we are coming from in the discussion. Yeah. I'll look at whatever steps we've made since 61 years. For example, for this one, the president touched on the small-scale farmers. Yes. And whatever we were discussing before this about climate change, and talks about climate-smart technologies and things like whatever Dr. was talking about, new technological ideas on things like irrigation. Yes. To deal with drought and famine. Another thing also, he's actually touched on other funds. For example, he's touched on they are proposing to put 1 billion shillings in aid of the defunct AFC, Agricultural Finance Corporation. I think the Agricultural Finance Corporation did a very good job, and farmers need incentives. You know, all along the week we've been discussing about taxes. And whatever I discussed here last time I was in this studio about this Finance Bill 2024, that I have no problem with the taxes that the government is picking. Sometimes a little bit, some of them are punitive, but that is not my problem of taxes. My problem is revenue expenditure, not revenue collection. What we want to spend this money that we are taking from the people as in the form of taxes on. Yes. For example, he said 600 million is for KCC. He said 1 billion AFC, and he's also taking African Development Bank. He's expanding dam programs because they're planning to construct some of these dams. Even though those things normally are good in paper, the problem that comes is implementation. That is where you see corruption. You know what happened with our Aurora and Kimwarer dams, and the money that was lost in those processes. Ideas so good. If they are followed to the letter, then we have to develop agriculture. 1 billion, actually it is not so much money for me to put in AFC. I would want him to put 5 billion in AFC, something like this. But other donors are also playing. But when you want other donors to help out, we must be able to showcase that the little we have, we put it in the right use. So I think the president's speech was blended with good ideas, and he was able to link between poverty, hunger, agriculture, and climate, the effects of climate change at this time and age. So over that, I think is a good thing. Whatever they've touched, one thing that they've touched that which is very interesting for me, you know, I also come from the sugar belt area, that they are deciding to take over payment of farmers, of sugarcane farmers as a government. Because the fact is that these people do a lot of work, do a lot of sugar planting, but it comes to payment of farmers, it's been very, very bad. And now this time he's even saying that apart from even the payment, they want a situation where sugarcane farmers can be receiving bonuses like other farmers, like tea farmers and all that.
Thank you, Oscar. Allow me to now go to Dr. Isaac, and let me just veer off a bit from issues of agriculture and look at the politics just for a moment, because that did quite feature a bit at the tail end of his speech, just thanking the Bungoma residents and the county at large for how they did vote in terms of also voting this government to power. You realize that this is the county in the western region that did vote overwhelmingly for this administration. When you listen to that and you look at this particular day, the Madaraka Day, one would then question, politics never misses, regardless of how small it could be.
Politicians politics is their food. And definitely, if they don't politic, then they shall have failed to conduct or do their obligation. And therefore, it is necessary for any politician to touch on political issues in order for him to remain relevant. I think before I go to that point, I think it is important to appreciate the President's approach towards Madaraka Day versus the theme of the day. And of course, as we said this morning, the dreams of our founding fathers. And one important thing, I think, in addition to what my brother Oscar has said, is that the fact that now he is trying to push people to go back to farming in the rural areas, we are now trying to get a clear direction that urbanization is not a solution to our problem. And our food insecurity will only be solved if at the rural area we take our roles where we can find farms, space to farm and make produces that will be sufficient enough to supply urban centers as well as supply outside the country in countries which have no food content, food supplies to that effect. But when we come to politics, the president decided to still touch on a wound that we thought has healed. The issue of deep state, the issue of legacy, or do I call it legacy, or what do I call
ethnicity
it?
And tribalism.
Ethnicity and tribalism. The issue of being, in certain class of people, families who have been in presidency. For example, you see Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, his son became a president. Then he wanted to transfer to probably another legacy where Raila wanted to pick up the presidency. And the fact that Raila has been in the mainstream from his grandfather to his father up to him himself. So it's no longer the game as usual, as he has put it. He means that actually any person in this country can become the president of this nation. Once we put aside politics, tribalism, once we put aside politics of who is who in the society, rather than who can be the leader of this nation, we are able to go somewhere far. And he has given us a bit of hope for those of us who have come from northern Kenya. And hopefully in 20 years from today, I may also want to contest for presidency, because there is an arena, an avenue that the president has set that anyone can become a president in this country.
I hear you.
Which is a very good thing. And that the politicking of that aspect
Let me now bring in Sammy.
Thank
We're strapped for time, and I really want to get his quick reactions on whether also the speech met his expectations, especially as far as matters of agriculture and food security is concerned, and giving money to the counties, given this is a devolved function.
I'm happy. First, the president's speech stuck to the theme of the Madaraka Day, and away from the way we are used to, where presidents will read from papers. Now he's using an auto cue. That tells you that he's a digital president. So he has touched on quite a number of issues, as my colleagues have said. He talked about the boosting of agriculture, for example, the extension officers, which we had in the 80s and early 90s, then they disappeared. Those are the key people who give farmers information, because they are in touch with the day-to-day activities that go on in the country and outside the country. He also talked about writing off the debts for coffee farmers. He talked about 6.7 billion. He talked about sunflower, cotton, and many other industries. The milk, now KCC can buy milk from the farmers. He talked about the milk revolving fund. He talked about also the mobile seed dryers, grain dryers, and I come from Trans Nzoia, as Oscar is boasting about coming from Siaya. I come from Trans Nzoia, where during the rainy seasons, when the rain comes during harvesting time, the farmers undergo a lot of losses when their grain is rained on. So those mobile grain dryers, if they come to the farmers, they'll be good. He talked about expanding of dams.
Okay.
Yes, the leather industry. Now Daktari can smile. His hides and skins from the ASAL regions can now get a market, both locally and internationally.
And now we can wear our own shoes as opposed to...
Yes, and revolving reviving the shoe industry,
we have to finish
which
at that point.
closed down. So largely, the president has captured on quite a number, and he stuck to the theme, and I'm happy that the Western region has had a feel.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Asante sana. I've been holding court with Sami Meli to my far left. He's a political analyst. Right next to him is Dr. Isaac Hassan, who's a governance and political analyst. And to my immediate left is Oscar Omondi, a governance expert. They have been with us since early morning, just trying to dissect where we have come from as a country, where we are, and what more we need to do as far as this particular celebration is concerned. This has been the 61st Madaraka Day celebrations. Thank you so much for your valid company. I'm Doreen Arange, and happy Madaraka Day to you. Good afternoon.